this point, you know,
Yeah,
as
you
soon
have
as
to do, you don't
Friday.
need the gavel, just stuff your phone in.
It's 7 p.m. on Monday, October 16th, 2023, and I will call this regular City Council meeting to order. I do want to thank those that are joining us this evening, and also to note that this meeting is also being live streamed. Mayor Pro Tem, if you would lead us in the flag salute. Councilmember Cedar asked to be excused this evening.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Councilmember Strader to excuse Councilmember Cedar this evening. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. And then for the record, we have our planning manager Stallnecker here with us this evening, our new finance director Susie Simpson, our outgoing finance director Michelle Robeck, Chief Hernandez, and our city clerk Tricia Summers. Council, are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. I will take a motion. Councilmember Whalen?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Peretti to pass the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. Moving on to citizen participation. Thank you. We have one participant signed up this evening. As a reminder, the purpose of the public comment period at this meeting is for the public to inform the council, not the audience, on matters before the council. It's not intended for debate or discussion with the public. Please remember to state your name and address for the record, and we kindly remind you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. We have Jeannie Cash signed up.
My name is Jeannie Cash. My address is 396 22nd Avenue Court, Milton. I'm here again tonight. To find out more information and see what the results are for the camera lights in the town of Milton.
This is not a discussion period, and that item will be discussed at council in November. So I think our first meeting of the month is November 6th.
November 6th?
Yeah, will you correct me if I'm wrong, Tricia? The first Monday of November.
And that will be what, a discussion
Yes.
that the public can be involved in?
You can voice your concerns and comments, but it's not a discussion back and forth.
Okay.
Or anytime in between, you can always reach out to your council members or me, either me by phone or your council members by email, and we can have a discussion as well if you'd like.
Okay. I'm not good on email. I like face-to-face.
Okay. We can set up a time to chat if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll reach out to you. That concludes our citizen participation. Moving on to our next item is a proclamation. It actually is a proclamation for the month of September, but we got the request from the Fife School District later in the month, so we didn't bring it earlier. I was hoping that Principal Bettis would be here. He was jumping from meeting to meeting, so he obviously didn't make it here in time. But we wanted to help the Fife School District recognize the importance of attendance in school. They've seen a huge decline of attendance since COVID-19. And for those of you that have small children in school or even high schoolers, you know the importance of attendance. So we want to support the Fife School District and their mission to, advocate for kids to be at school each month or each day. So if Mr. Bettis shows up, maybe we could go back and present this to him, but they already have a copy of it. They got it in September. We just wanted to formally present it to them in front of council. So council, we do have 2 items this evening. Both are action items. The first one is on page 21 of your packet. It is the ordinance 2076-23 for a budget amendment. Our outgoing finance director, Michelle Robeck, will present this agenda bill, and then following her review, I will need a motion to open up the floor for discussion.
Good evening, Council. The proposed ordinance provides adjustments to the 2023 budget as adopted by the Council via Ordinance 2060-22 on December 5th, 2022, and amended via Ordinance number 2070-23 on May 15th of 2023. This is the second ordinance amending the 2023 budget and reflects changes that have occurred since adoption of the original budget. These adjustments are detailed in the accompanying exhibits, and I also wanted to note that if this amendment is approved, these changes will be reflected in the final 2024 budget document. And these are just changes to the 2023 budget, but they'll appear in the 2024 budget document.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I move to adopt the attached ordinance 2076-23, amending 2023 budget as detailed in Exhibit A 2023 Budget Amendment Number 2. Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Peretti Mayor Pro Tem Peretti, and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker to adopt the attached ordinance 2076-23, amending the 2023 budget as detailed in Exhibit A, titled 2023 Budget Amendment Number 2. Mayor Pro Tem Peretti, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you for bringing this forward. We had an opportunity to discuss it at our last in the study session, and we have a few of these every year just to adjust the budget as the year goes on when we have reduced expenditures or increased expenditures, and the same with revenues. We appreciate it.
Councilmember Whitaker?
Thank you.
Over here now.
Yeah, as we discussed last week, this is only the second one of the year, and we may have at best one more. So I'd say that, I mean, other years we've been on council, we've had way more budget amendments than that. We discussed this at the study session, and I was happy with the answers that you gave, not just to my questions, but other councilmen's questions. So I'm perfectly fine with this.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Councilmember Whalen?
Thank you, Mayor. If I'm reading this correct, I think the only major change we had here was the water capital fund for the fire hydrants, water main replacement fire hydrants along Milton Way, 13th Avenue. Everything else is a reduction in the cost.
Well, there are a few increases. I would say most of these are in increased expenditures that also have an increase in revenue that's associated with it. But there are a few that will come from ending fund balance. And the total of all funds that impact is the bottom line far to on the right, the 110,600 is the total impact on all funds that don't have a corresponding revenue associated with that. I'm trying to think. Two of them that I can see off the bat right away are the the transfers out to the street fund and the transfers out to the community fund. They're in that first section in the general fund. Those would be increased expenditures to the general fund that don't have a correlating revenue in the general fund.
And I only mentioned that because I thought we were surprised by the extent of the project that took place along Milton Way, 13th Avenue, and so forth.
Okay.
Which was very needed. The expenditure is very well justified.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
My apologies.
Any other questions, comments, concern from council? Okay, it is an action item. Any comments from the audience? Okay. It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker to adopt the attached ordinance 2076-23, amending the 2023 budget as detailed in Exhibit A, the 2023 budget amendment number 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. Moving on to our second and final item this evening, it is on page 29 of your packet. It is a resolution 23-1964. Council expressed, and I believe at the time it was Councilmember Strader and White, of interest of moving the order of our regular council meeting, that the citizen comment come before the consent agenda so that the public has a chance to make a comment or ask questions or state their opinion prior to the consent agenda being passed. So in your packet, you have the red line version as well as a clean version, and the change happens on page 33 of your packet or page 3 of the document, simply moving the citizen comment time to before the consent agenda. We'll take a motion to open up the floor. Councilmember Whalen.
Move to approve Resolution 23-1964 as presented.
It's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Councilmember White to approve Resolution 23-1964 as presented. Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I thank the mayor and the council, or the council and the mayor, for recognizing the importance of hearing from the public early in the beginning of the meeting and being able to reference that in our council. It's important that the public participate with us. Sometimes we weren't hearing what they had to say at an early enough time to respond to them, and this resolves that issue. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember White?
I also appreciate the fact that this is being done, and I appreciate the fact that we have citizens that come on a regular basis that made this request, and I'm happy to have pushed this forward and endorsed it, because anything we can do to make it easier and more open for citizens to give comment and input, while at the same time not burdening us in any way. I think it should be done, and I'm glad that this agenda is coming before us, and I am fully of support.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? Okay, it is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Susan Johnson.
Susan Johnson, 2307 8th Avenue. This is an example of citizens coming to the council and requesting something. And I think it's important that the mayor and the city administration and the other council members have accepted this as a way for us to get information to you on our concerns. With that, I add, when you are doing your research and stuff, that you really research pros and cons and look for research that's more modern, up to date, because things change so much. And something from 2010, 11, 12 is even archaic in everything we're dealing with now, since our society moves so quickly. Can I add something else other than just to this, since I missed the comment? I can't. Anyway, thank you. Bye.
Jacqueline Whalen.
Jacqueline Whalen. I'm a resident of the Milton City in Washington. Hello, Council. Thank you for considering the sequence of your regular agenda meeting listing as outlined in your procedure for the conduct of council meetings, proceedings, and business. Here and after, I'm going to refer to that as procedures or the procedures document. Regarding the placement of citizen participation within the sequence of your regular meeting agenda items, I would suggest listing the citizen participation after roll call and before additions and deletions. Your current idea is wonderful, a great improvement, but a citizen may make a comment that may cause council or staff to wish to initiate an addition or a deletion to your agenda. Moving on to technical issues, it seems to me that council cannot take action tonight on the proposed amendments, much as I'd like you to, given subsection 24.2 on page 47 of 65 in your packet, which states, amendments to the rules shall be made by resolution of the council, which must be laid over at least 1 week, and may then be made by a majority vote of the membership of the city council. It goes on to say, after such proposed amendments have been laid over for 1 week, they may be amended. Tonight's the first time you're seeing the resolution, so I wonder if your rules allow you to actually take action tonight. Additionally, on the topic of public comment opportunities, I'd like to suggest that you consider adding an additional public comment period after council has finished their business before you have gone into council reports. This serves two purposes, especially giving citizens the opportunity to give input on council's discussion items as opposed to action items. And for those of us who don't get to arrive until after the meeting has commenced, it does provide another citizen opportunity for comment. Another issue, page 33 of 65 in your agenda packet, subsection 4.5, which is a discussion on citizen comments. I'd really encourage you to take a look at the word verbiage in that and see if it couldn't get cleaned up a bit. It seems like there's incongruent and commingling of information. Your procedures document, subsection 4.5, cites citizen comments, but your agenda says citizen participation. Little thing, but I note it. Subsection 4.5 seems to discuss two different opportunities for public comment within a discussion of the order for the sequence of events in your meeting. The 2 points for comment, citizen participation, and on an agenda item, action. So I just think you might want to consider looking at that as well. If subsection 4.5 is only discussing the standard for the public to address council during citizen participation per the meeting agenda listing, then the paragraph is citing conflicting information regarding citizen participation. 2 different standards for the sign-up sheet, 2 different rules for the duration of the time limit. Sign-up sheet, and I'm sure I've gone over 3 minutes, and I'm very grateful for your allowing me to go over. Why is the sign-up sheet called for? What purpose does it serve? Is filling out the sign-up sheet a prerequisite for the public to be able to address council? What does council want? Please clarify your intent, excuse me. The wording does not grant discretion to the presiding officer, and yet, as I've witnessed and others, it seems to be a firm rule, and sometimes it seems to have a little flexibility to it. If council has a specific
Waylon,
standard-
if you could wrap up, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Regarding the time limits, most pertinent, it would be nice if they were consistent. It would be nice if we had a time clock. It would be nice if we had lights here so we could really stay on track. I question why you prohibit the donation of time. Regarding Mayor Pro Tem, it would be nice if further writing was done to clarify selection of the Mayor Pro Tem, because a few years back, or a year or so back, we had a little bit of a difference in interpretation. So that to me is an invitation to straighten it out. Thank you for the opportunity to comment and your graciousness in hearing me out.
Thank you, Ms. Whalen. our city clerk's looking up the resolutions because we've always only had one read on resolutions. So she's going to clarify that quickly. The other thing is we reviewed this every year at our council retreat. And so I would like to keep it to what was recommended by Ms. Whalen initially, which was to move up the citizen comment prior to the consent agenda. This is the first time I've heard a recommendation of moving it to after roll call. You can obviously move it up after roll call if you would like. That's an easy fix. But I think that if you want to consider any other changes, we bring it to our council retreat that we do every single year and go through it again. We did do some research based on Ms. Whalen's comments in the past about how other cities handle public comment at study session, the time limit, when it happens, and we are right in line with all of our neighboring cities and even farther out. But again, they're your rules, so you can do as you please. So as soon as our clerk finds out if the resolution can be passed this evening, and if it can't, we can just bring it back in 2 weeks, not a big deal. I would recommend that we review it again at our council retreat as we do every single year. And I believe, if I'm correct, we did clarify the mayor pro tem procedures. I swear we did that.
Yes.
Yeah, so, did you find it? Councilmember Strader.
I was wondering about the clarification on the time limit. And I appreciate that we were allowed Mrs. Whalen the opportunity to go on further to finish what she had to say. And I think maybe should we have like a 1-minute addition that somebody can ask for? It depends also, on the amount of people that want to make comment, because we don't want to tie up the entire night on thing. But I think that we could make an allowance for a 1-minute extension if they can't finish in that 3-minute time limit.
I guess my only concern with that is it's always preached that we have consistency on how we handle our procedures. And so think about how would you decide what meetings we allow an extra minute and what we don't. Yeah. We see 3 to 5 minutes. I think maybe 3 to 4 was the average we saw for public comment. Because at the end of the day, this meeting is for you all to conduct your business and to complete it in a timely manner. And there's lots of avenues throughout the week and the month for citizens to reach out to you as well. And so I think that's why those limits are in place, that you can get your business done. Yeah, right. And we really do plan meetings generally around how many comments do we think we're going to have? How many times, because that plays a huge factor. We've seen meetings where it takes 30, 40 minutes to get through citizen comment, which is completely acceptable. It's just then we plan around those meetings knowing we can only have a few items. So my only concern is if it's not set in stone, we're going to get comments that we're not being consistent and we're being unfair and we're not being equitable in how we add time to other comments. So just something to think about.
Yeah.
Councilmember Whitaker?
Wasn't it in there, did I not read that too, that if, to avoid having, 5 different people get up, 10 people get up and have the same comment, that they could have a spokesperson go up and speak for the group? Did I read that correctly?
I think I'd have to go back and look. I know we did clarify that because we were having people pass their time on to other people, which I thought we clarified you couldn't do that.
They can't do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I haven't been in a meeting, but I remember sitting in the audience during meetings when Mayor Perry was in office, where she would say, if you agree with this comment, please raise your hand. And that would help eliminate some comments. But if people are here to speak, they want to speak. So they're going to speak whether they raise their hand or not. So.
Well, I think that's important that we provide that opportunity. If they show up and have the courage to get up and speak.
I agree.
We need to recognize that.
I agree, 100%.
And I also think there is an importance to, them writing down who wants to, I think there's a validity to writing it down. And also people getting up and saying where they live in Milton. But the writing it down and I can see the reason for that. It's not necessarily now, it's not necessarily a month from now, but that's for maybe 5 years from now. And you could go back, now I don't know, that you wouldn't go in and track it, and that would mean somebody would have to input it, but you could kind of track who's speaking, who the active members of the community are, which helps, actually.
Yeah, we'll have to look up exactly. I know whenever I've gone to other councils, you have to sign up to speak, and so it's not uncommon. I mean, you have to sign up when you come to public hearings to be part of the record, so we will clarify the sign up as well if council's interested in that. I'm going to say, why don't we just, to be safe, we've always done resolutions one read. Yeah, it's always been ordinances get 2, resolutions get 1. But I don't want, if Ms. Whalen has found something that says otherwise, I'd rather just be safer than sorry. So unless anyone else is opposed, I'd like to suggest that we just bring it back to the November meeting.
Do we need a motion to table it?
Probably. Let me get my Roberts rules out, because that's not one I do very often. And actually, but before we do that, do you want to move it up one more slot so that it's right after roll call?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So they have to be here even closer to 7. I just want to make that
And
clear.
wouldn't it be postponed, not tabled?
Yeah, I think that's what the correct word is. Yeah, not table. I had that discussion last week, yes. Okay, postpone. So if someone wants to if someone wants to postpone the meeting, I just need a motion, or no, postpone this agenda item to November 6th. I just need a motion for that. I do need a second. You can debate it if you'd like, and majority rules. So if someone would like to make a motion to postpone Resolution 23-1964 to November 6th. Councilmember White?
I move to postpone Resolution 23-1964 for action at the next council meeting on November 6th.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Did you second?
Yeah, Councilmember Strader did second. Okay. So any discussion on that from anybody? Okay. So it's been moved by Councilmember White and seconded by Councilmember Strader to postpone Resolution 23-1964 for approval on November 6th. All approved?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 6-0. So we will bring that back on November 6th. Moving on to council reports. Councilmember Whitaker, I guess.
Oh, hi.
Should I go this way? I keep looking for you over there.
Well, if you want to go, it's up to you which way you want to go.
Well, how about we go with you this time?
Okay. I drove on Fifth Avenue on Sunday. It was kind of nice to actually drive on it now that it's open. I know it's not done, but just to be able to drive on it. And the curbs are beautiful, if curbs can be beautiful. But it's very nice. Because now they're going to raise where it dips, yes? They still have to do that. Am I right?
I believe so. I was hoping to connect, Director Madden had to go home today, so I was hoping to connect with him before the meeting, and I wasn't able to. I do know it's not complete, and it will be completed in the spring, because we need nicer weather. I will try to get an update for council, because we don't have a meeting for 2 weeks, tomorrow or Wednesday, and I'll get something out to all of you.
Right. I just was curious, but it's much nicer than it was. And also just to keep the ball rolling with getting people more participatory, get more people participating, coming to meetings, interacting, with the council, with the city. If they have an issue, come to the city and make a point of it, so we can know about it. So then, something doesn't come up and we say, well, I didn't know that. Just the more participation from citizens, I would be much more in favor of.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Whitaker. Councilmember White?
For me this evening, thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Strader?
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Hall?
Nothing tonight.
And Councilmember Whalen?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. And I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I do understand that the macadam on the road, Fifth Avenue, is not finished. You'll look at the side of the road with the curbs and so forth, you'll see small lips and so forth. The road's not flat yet. So that's in the future, because it was a concern I just had also. So thank you for bringing it up. I just have a road comment in the city of Milton. The of Juniper and Milton Way, the guardrail has been significantly compromised. And it's been that way for a little while. I don't know if everybody else has noticed it. It's something large hit that one. I think it was a car because of the way it was pushed in and so forth. That's a critical area because that intersection of Juniper onto Milton Way has a stop sign. Has a stop sign, no stop bar. People run past the stop sign to get a view because you can't see. So line of sight obstruction in that particular corner needs to be addressed at the same time this guardrail is repaired. So I bring that up because it's a hazardous corner, and especially with back at school, children back in school, that's a concern, and I appreciate you listening to me. If you haven't seen it, take a look. Just see what goes on. Thank you.
Councilmember Williams, did you say there's no stop bar there?
I'm sorry?
Did you say there was no stop bar there?
On Juniper,
Okay,
there is no stop bar.
okay,
Now, if you consider the end of the lane line, which is probably 15 to 20 feet in front beyond the stop sign, that's where people are stopping. When they do stop, that's when they're stopping. But there is no, stop bars are significantly different than end of or lane lines. They're usually, I don't know, I'm going to estimate 18 inches wide in the full width of the lane. And there is not one that I've seen.
okay. Yes, I will talk to Director Madden tomorrow about that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's all I need to say tonight.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Whalen. Director reports. Planning Manager Stallnecker, do you have anything?
Nothing related to mine, but just, I do know that Public Works Madden that's a intersection that's on his radar, and we were just talking about it the other day of options with it. So he is aware of the railing as well as that it's one of our dangerous intersections. So just to let you know, it is one of the ones that's we were actually just talking about last week. So.
Since this will probably be one of my last council meetings, I just wanted to say thank you for this incredible opportunity. It's been, darn it, it's been a pleasure working with all of you as well as the staff and the citizens. And I think that Finance Director, the new incoming Finance Director Simpson will be a great addition to the team and the city.
Good evening, Council. Just wanted to give you an idea of what Sunday night looked like for us, just to keep you guys in the loop of the level of activity that we continue to see. Hit and run 28th and Alder group. Teenagers fled on foot after getting in a collision because the vehicle they were driving was unreported stolen. They were also seen by a witness on security cameras with a gun. Flagged down at Safeway for a group of juveniles who had just stole alcohol and other drinks. They ran from a silver Hyundai Elantra with Florida plates and fled onto oncoming traffic when attempted to be stopped. Stolen vehicle. Blacked out white Kia Forte with California plates speeding on the Pack Highway. Attempted to stop it, fled because it was stolen. A traffic stop attempt on a 2001 Honda Odyssey vehicle sold. Several felony and misdemeanor warrants. It did not stop either. So the point is, again, when it comes time for your input regarding legislation and restoring the rights of police officers to be able to go after the people that are committing these offenses, be greatly appreciated. And again, I just try to keep you guys informed about the level of activity that we're experiencing on a nightly basis, dealing with guns and stolen cars all night long. And again, it's because crime knows no boundaries, and we are continually, as a small city, trying to preserve a way of life, which is we're the neighborhood on the hill, but we're being crushed by the crime that's going on in Tacoma, Federal Way, and Fife, and Sumner. And again, they're transiting through our city, and they are committing crimes of opportunity. I mean, our officers are doing the best we can to try to catch these guys, but as you can see, just from these calls in a 10-hour period, from 8 to 6 in the morning, it's very challenging. So.
Is that it? Oh, do we have a new officer? Oh, that was last meeting.
And the good news is we have one more officer that we've brought on who was an acting sergeant out of Pacific, and he brings experience with him because he's been on the force for about 5 years. He was their acting sergeant before he transferred over here. And again, our own officers through word of mouth are helping to recruit. And so now we are fully staffed. So hopefully that'll last at least 6 months.
I just have a couple of things. The first one is we are having our second annual trunk or treat in 2 Mondays from now on the 30th from 4 to 6. I would love if council was involved in some capacity. So whether that be you all do a trunk together, or one of you does a trunk, or 2 of you does a trunk, I think it would be great to have council representation at that event. If you're interested and you haven't already told Martin more, you can either tell him or let me know. The 32nd annual Craft Bazaar was this weekend. It was wonderful. Not only did we have amazing vendors, but it was just really neat to reconnect with the community at another event. And we couldn't have done it without all the vendors and all the shoppers, city staff, including Public Works, keeping the facilities up and going, Martin Moore for his work and input in the Craft Bazaar, and then the events committee involvement, especially of Mari, Lisa, and Christy, who spent the entire weekend with me working the Craft Bazaar. And then lastly, East Pierce Fire Station opened up in Edgewood. They have currently moved out of Fire Station 124 here at City Hall, but not for long. They're doing just some minor renovation once all their permits have been issued, and they'll be moving back in with a team. That's not the right word for fire, but crew.
Ambulance. Crew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I don't know if you noticed in your budget that we gave you, and we didn't draw attention to it, but East Pierce met with us this last summer and asked what capacity they could stay at City Hall. And we went over a few options, one being purchasing the fire station, one being we rent long-term. And the one that we decided to do research on, which is what you'll see in your budget document, is a feasibility study on housing both fire and police in the same building. So at first glance, we talked about fire down below, police up above. So we'd have a joint facility here at City Hall versus them building a new fire station on the property they bought behind Dave's. So that is in your budget for this upcoming year. And I hope it will work out. It will free up some space for us that we need for staff. And I hope that someday in the near future, we'll get a new City Hall and we can all be in one building and have fire and police in another building. With that, all the items have been concluded this evening. I will adjourn our meeting at 7:38